Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping on our hypothetical, and I mean impossibly light, virtual helmets to dive headfirst into a controversy that is just, well, it's absolutely shaking up the augmented reality community.
It really is.
And we're not just talking about, a product that failed to launch. This is about alleged hardware fraud surrounding this really heavily hyped startup called Pickle and their supposedly revolutionary product, the Pickle One AR glasses.
It's just the classic Silicon Valley story, isn't it? You have these audacious claims, and they're just clashing violently with the stubborn, unforgiving laws of physics.
Right.
What's fascinating here is that instead of tackling, one massive industry challenge like, say, battery density, they claim to have solved every single industry-wide challenge all at once.
Simultaneously.
It reads less like engineering and more like, I don't know, a wish list written by someone who has never even touched a soldering iron.
Exactly, and that's why we're here today. Our
Right.
mission for you is to sift through this incredibly detailed expose put together by Matthew Dowd. He's the founder of Wild, and figure out, is the Pickle One truly the technological breakthrough that the Apples and Metas of the world just completely miss?
Are we looking at pure smoke and mirrors?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the specs themselves set off every single warning siren. Just to run through them quickly, they're claiming a full-featured AR, personal computer, binocular displays, so, 3D vision, high brightness, all-day battery life.
And all of that is packed into a chassis weighing only 68 grams.
Yeah. Just hearing those specs together, it should raise every red flag in the engineering playbook. Because, achieving any two of those features usually means you have to sacrifice the others.
So let's start right there, because the hardware claims alone are where this whole thing immediately becomes less about, product development and more about physical impossibility.
Impossible is the right word, because we aren't just talking about pushing technological limits here. We are fundamentally defying known constraints in optics and in battery science.
Okay, so let's talk weight first. 68 grams, that's the headline feature. Pickle One promises binocular full-color display in both lenses for that crucial 3D depth effect, all while weighing just 68 grams. I mean, what even is 68 grams for context?
It's lighter than a deck of cards. Your average chocolate bar is heavier. Your phone is probably 3 times heavier.
Yeah.
And you have to stop and realize what they're claiming to put inside a frame that light. It's a full computer, 2 advanced displays, and a 12-hour battery system.
And this is where the comparison becomes just brutal, because we actually have benchmarks for this. Meta's latest display glasses, they weigh 69 grams, and they're already considered heavy for all-day wear.
Right, but they're monocular.
Exactly, only one display in one lens.
And the leap from 1 display to 2 isn't just doubling the parts. It's like an exponential multiplication of the constraints. The thermal constraints compound, the space you need for the battery, and the compute chips. It all compounds. These displays use advanced optics called waveguides, which, they basically bounce light across the lens to project an image into your eye.
Super complex stuff.
Incredibly complex. And getting 2 of them to play nice in a tiny frame without overheating is, the hardest part of AR right now.
So when a company like Meta, who pours billions into R&D, comes out with a single waveguide display system that still costs a fortune, what does that imply about Pickle's dual system?
It's just a completely different league of impossibility. Dowd estimates the bill of materials for Meta's single display glasses could be well over $1,000, mostly because the yield rate for manufacturing these precise waveguide components is so low.
So if one display costs that much and pushes the weight limit, what is Pickle spending? And more importantly, where are they hiding the heat and the power source for 2 of them?
Right. Other companies have tried.
Sure. So how are other major players tackling it? Has anyone gotten closer than what Pickle claims?
They have, but those attempts just highlight how fictional the Pickle One really is. You look at the Meta Orion prototype, which is binocular. The Orion prototype has a manufacturing cost of approximately $10,000 per unit.
Wow.
It has sub-2-hour battery life, and this is the critical part, it offloads most of its computing to a separate phone-sized puck that has to stay connected to the glasses.
And Pickle claims to do all of that, but on board, at 68 grams for 12 hours.
It truly defies all engineering logic currently known.
It's like claiming an innovation every major manufacturer with billions in R&D just completely missed. Okay, let's move to the other major hardware challenge. Brightness, field of view, and battery life.
Because they're all connected, right?
They are in a really vicious cycle. So Pickle claims the widest field of view in the world. Their CEO, Daniel Park, pinned that at about 30 degrees diagonally in their Discord community.
30 degrees sounds okay, I guess, but how big is that in this context? Oh, that's a huge claim in this sector. Meta's display glasses have a stated FOV of only about 20 degrees. So gaining 10 degrees more while keeping that slim 68-gram form factor is a monumental engineering feat. It requires custom optics.
And the bigger the FOV, the harder it is to project a bright, uniform image, right?
Exactly. And the brightness issue is what really it underscores the battery impossibility. High brightness requires massive power, and it generates significant heat, which again is compounded in that tiny chassis, that's with two displays.
Right.
Meta display glasses peak at around 5,000 nits, and even then, users still report readability issues in direct sunlight. Pickle claims to solve this brightness issue and offer a 12-hour dual battery.
A 12-hour battery? I mean, come on. Meta Ray-Bans, which have no display, just a camera and audio, they get maybe 8 hours of typical use.
And the Meta display glasses with one display get 6 hours of mixed use.
So how could Pickle, with two advanced high-brightness displays and all this computing, somehow manage to deliver 12 hours?
They would need a battery breakthrough that belongs in like a Nobel Prize submission, not a startup pre-order page. It would mean some waveguide manufacturer achieved an industry breakthrough that reduces energy consumption by, what, maybe 50% overnight, and then decided to give that exclusive, world-altering tech to a 19-month-old software-only startup. It's wildly improbable.
Which brings us neatly to Section 2, the software red flags. This is where the demo video starts doing things that real-world devices just can't do.
This is where you see the disconnect between what looks cool in a promotional video, which was likely, rendered in After Effects, and what actually requires dedicated custom chips and millions of lines of complex code to execute in reality.
Okay, so the first example is at the 51-second mark in their video. It shows a translucent virtual window staying perfectly anchored to a countertop as the user moves their head around.
Right, that implies 6 degrees of freedom or 6 DOF tracking and reliable spatial anchoring.
Which is the holy grail.
It is. It means the virtual object acts like a real object in your room. You walk around it, it stays put. But achieving that requires constant real-time mapping of the physical environment. It's known as the SLAM pipeline, simultaneous localization and mapping.
And that takes a ton of power.
A colossal amount of compute power. It needs depth sensors, an IMU, an inertial measurement unit, and it just drains the battery. For a device this small, it's difficult even for massive companies. For a tiny startup team with no demonstrable AR experience, it's highly suspect.
And it looks suspiciously smooth.
It's flawless.
Yeah.
If you've used any current AR product, even the best ones, they have occasional jitters or drift. The visuals in the Pickle video are perfect, which suggests they just, rendered the capability without ever having to build it.
Classic fake it till you make it, but taken to an extreme. But then we get to the truly impossible software claim that blew this whole story wide open. Real-time occlusion.
Ah, yes. The moment at 1.46, where the user's playing the guitar and a little virtual dot disappears, it's occluded when their hand passes over it.
So what this suggests is that the software can do real-time depth tracking and hand tracking to know precisely that the physical object should block the virtual one.
Wait, so they're claiming their tiny 68-gram glasses can instantly recognize your hand, map its precise position in 3D space, and then render the virtual object behind it all faster than you can blink.
That's the core of the deception. Right now, the only major headset that natively supports any kind of hand occlusion is the $3,500 Apple Vision Pro.
And even with its dedicated M5 and R1 chips designed just for this, its performance is far from perfect.
Yeah.
It often lags behind quick hand movements.
So the gap between what Pickle is claiming and what reality allows is just astronomical.
It is genuinely impossible that a tiny 68-gram device from a new startup could achieve this flawlessly. They're selling capabilities that are currently only achievable by the most powerful, bulky, and extensive devices on the market. It's incredible.
And then it gets worse. They even contradict their own stated capabilities in the video.
Yeah, at the 2-minute mark, the simulated OS, Pickle OS, it stands different parts of the lens, suggesting this huge immersive display area. But their own CEO said the FOV is only 30 degrees.
So the visual representation directly contradicts the limited field of view they themselves claimed. It's a visual trick.
It is. And my personal favorite contradiction comes from the live demo footage at 2.24. The video quality is amazingly crisp. It's definitely high definition.
And yet
the CEO stated in their Discord server that the camera's core use case is ambient capture, not creator-grade recording.
Right.
Its purpose is, passive contribution to its memory, not crisp, high-res video streaming.
Hold on. So they tell their community the camera is only for fuzzy ambient capture, but then they show cinema quality footage to sell the product.
Hmm.
That's not a red flag. That's just fundamentally misleading. I mean, if the camera isn't built for high resolution, where did that live demo footage even come from?
Exactly. It shows they prioritized the sizzle of the demo over the steak of the actual product.
Right.
Because, well, they never actually built the steak.
This moves us right into Section 3, design, components, and the timeline. Because the physics of the design itself is flawed, regardless of what displays are inside. We know Pickle confirms they're using waveguide displays, but they have these highly curved, runner-style lenses.
And that physical curvature is a massive problem for waveguides. Since waveguides bounce light between substrates to create the image, curving the lens requires an entirely custom, complex architecture to account for distortion and maintain image clarity.
Which means
What exactly?
nobody really does it successfully yet. The only known curved waveguide system that exists is from TUZ. It's a joint venture between Zeiss and Deutsche Telekom. And that system required much thicker lenses, only achieved an 11-degree FOV, and it still suffers from noticeable image distortion.
And Pickle's claiming the exact opposite.
The opposite, curved lenses and the world's widest FOV. They're claiming to have solved the curvature problem while also delivering a larger display area than their competitors. It's just no. And you mentioned before that the waveguide projector needs physical space where it contacts the lens, right?
Precisely. And that space is proportional to the size of the FOV you're trying to project. If you look at the photos of the Pickle One, there's almost no visible contact space between the lens edges and the frame where that necessary projector system would sit.
Oh, wow.
Other waveguide glasses completely encircle the lenses for this purpose. So achieving a 30-degree FOV with that little space would be yet another massive, almost impossible engineering feat that only exists in a 3D rendering program.
And if we look even closer, the really simple, essential physical components just seem to be missing.
Completely. There were no charging contacts, no visible speaker grills, microphones, or IR sensors for detecting when you're wearing them.
Yeah.
All features that are absolutely essential for the claimed functionality, like an AI companion or voice commands.
Or just, charging the device.
Right. I mean, you look at a legitimate comparison device, the Meta Ray Bans, which are similar in form factor, and the microphones, speakers, charging contacts, they're all clearly visible and pronounced. The complete lack of these features in the Pickle photos adds heavily to the suspicion that what they're showing is just an empty rendered plastic shell.
And then there's the pricing, $1,300. It's suspiciously low given the level of unique, proprietary, yet to be invented innovation we've just discussed. But the timeline, I think the timeline is the most glaring issue that points toward knowing fraud.
The timeline is what puts this in the realm of bad faith.
Yeah.
So the core timeline issue is this. Pickle started engaging with the concept of glasses only 2 months ago when they held their first in-person demo.
2 months.
Yet they claim they will ship a product that requires multi-year advancements in optics, custom chip integration, and battery science by Q2 2026.
That is literally next quarter. I have to ask, even if they were making a decent product at a higher weight, why make the clearly outlandish claims about the weight and battery life? Why promise impossibility?
Because they have a history of making outlandish, opportunistic claims that don't match reality. And that's the perfect segue to Section 4, the company's identity crisis. So many pickles, so little substance.
This is a 19-month-old company with a chaotic history of pivots and, crucially, zero discernible hardware experience on its team. Let's just chart this bizarre corporate timeline.
Okay, so 11 months ago, they were an AI body double startup for Zoom calls, a YC company focused on avatar creation. Then, about 5 months ago, they pivoted dramatically to a desktop tool called Glass, which was basically a knockoff of an existing tool, Cluely.
And this is where the red flags move from impossible engineering to just outright bad faith. Dowd's research revealed that this Glass software was allegedly stolen from an open-source project called Cheating Daddy, violating its core software license.
Exactly. This shows a team that isn't interested in building foundational proprietary tech, but in rapidly acquiring and rebranding existing software to chase the next big trend. AI Zoom avatars, then allegedly stealing code for a desktop tool. And then 3 months ago, they pivoted again. Whisper by Pickle, a WhisperFlow knockoff focused on bubble memories and ambient capture.
So within a year and a half, they've jumped from Zoom avatars to desktop structuring to ambient audio capture, and now they claim to be leading the world in advanced AR optical engineering. The team lacks any coherent focus.
And that lack of focus is mirrored in their team expertise. I mean, I know people who build real AR glasses. It takes massive, long-term specialized talent. AR glasses development requires, tens of thousands of people from research-level optics and battery scientists to succeed.
And how many people are on the Pickle team?
9 listed team members, with one co-founder only joining 7 months ago. None of them have any discernible hardware or optics expertise. This small team, starting from scratch on the concept of glasses 2 months ago, cannot possibly deliver this product by Q2 2026. It's a physical, organizational, and technical impossibility.
Which brings us to the firm conclusion of fraud. Given the company's chaotic history, the lack of hardware expertise, the technical impossibility of the product claims, and the aggressive, impossible timeline, accepting $200 pre-order deposits based on these representations constitutes suspected fraud, at least according to Matthew Dowd's findings.
It's very hard to disagree with that assessment. They effectively leveraged the incredible enthusiasm and, the desire for truly lightweight AR tech and sold a purely aspirational product that simply does not exist and cannot be built within the time frame they promised.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Pickle One expose. We covered the 3 layers of impossibility: the impossible hardware specs, the unrealistic software claims demonstrated with misleading CGI, and the highly questionable opportunistic company history.
It's a fascinating case study in how far aggressive marketing and just pure hype can get you in the current tech market, especially in a sector like AR where the public is just desperate for a real breakthrough.
And to his credit, Matthew Dowd put his reputation and his money where his mouth is. He placed this public high-stakes wager with the CEO, Daniel Park. If the Pickle One ships as described, 68 grams, binocular, 12-hour battery, by the end of Q2 2026, Dowd pays Park all the pre-order revenue.
And if they miss,
Park pays Dowd. It's a concrete public accountability move.
if we connect this to the bigger picture, this case isn't just about some tiny startup scamming people. The real implication is that Pickle convinced thousands of people they had achieved the holy grail of AR, small, light, and powerful, something Apple, Meta, and Google have spent billions on and still haven't cracked. What does that say about the public's desperation for true augmented reality glasses, when so many are willing to ignore the basic laws of physics and pre-order a product that cannot possibly exist?
Food for thought indeed. And that is all the time we have for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.